This lecture gives a comprehensive coverage of clinical examination of cardiovascular system, including inspection, palpation, percussion, and auscultation. Now from general examination, we move on to the examination of the cardiovascular system. Evaluation of pulse, though part of general examination, is considered here in the examination of the cardiovascular system in detail. Discussion on blood pressure is not included here as a separate topic is dedicated to it. Though the most commonly examined pulse is the radial, to check some of the characteristics, a more proximal pulse like the brachial or carotid needs to be examined. Following parameters of the pulse are routinely documented. 1. The rate. Normal rate in an adult is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. It is higher in children. Younger the child, higher the pulse rate. 2. Rhythm. Regular and irregular rhythms are possible. Mild variation with respiration is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia with higher rate in inspiration. Respiratory sinus arrhythmia may be exaggerated in children. If the rhythm is totally irregular, it is likely to be atrial fibrillation. Patterned irregularity like pulsus bigeminus can occur due to ectopic beats or second-degree atrioventricular block. 3. Volume. Low volume pulse is noted in shock and severe aortic stenosis. It is known as pulsus parvus. High volume pulse is felt in aortic regurgitation. 4. Character. A slow rising pulse is noted in aortic stenosis, pulsus tardus. So together it will become pulsus parvus a tardus in severe aortic stenosis. Collapsing pulse or water hammer pulse is a feature of severe aortic regurgitation. Water hammer was a toy in the Victorian period. Collapsing character of the pulse is better appreciated with the palm and having the upper limb raised above the head. A bifid pulse with two peaks in systole is known as Bisferiens pulse. It is noted in free aortic regurgitation and with a combination of aortic stenosis and regurgitation. Pulsus paradoxus is an exaggeration of the inspiratory fall in pulse volume, characteristic of cardiac tamponade. Pulsus alternans, a feature of left ventricular failure, is the beat-to-beat alternation in pulse volume. 5. Vessel wall. Palpable vessel wall is a feature of arteriosclerosis in the elderly. It can be felt by Osler's maneuver using 3 fingers at the radial pulse known as trisection. Index and ring fingers occlude the vessel proximally and distally, while the middle finger palpates the vessel wall. Alternate method is to occlude the brachial artery with one hand and palpate the radial vessel wall with the other hand. A palpable radial artery after brachial occlusion, which is better done by inflation of a blood pressure cuff on the arm, constitutes the Osler sign. It is usually associated with pseudohypertension. Peripheral pulses, including radiofemoral and brachiofemoral delay, should be documented. All peripheral pulses should be checked and documented. Some may be absent in peripheral arterial disease and aortic dissection. Radiofemoral or brachiofemoral delay is a feature of coarctation of aorta and is associated with weak lower limb pulses. Normally, femoral pulse is slightly earlier than radial pulse. Brachioradial delay has been considered to be an indicator of severity of aortic stenosis. This is brachioradial delay and not brachiofemoral delay. Now we move on to assessment of jugular venous pulse and pressure. Assessment of jugular venous pulse has to be done in the internal jugular vein, though a beginner is often tempted to use the external jugular vein, which is easily visible. External jugular vein may be kinked and it may not reflect the true right atrial pressure. Jugular venous pressure is measured with reference to the sternal angle. The sternal angle is 5 cm above the mid-right atrium in all positions. That is why it is used as a reference line. Normal interjugular venous pulsations are not visible in the neck in the sitting position. Hence, it is typically measured with 45 degrees propped up position. But if the venous pressure is elevated, measurement in sitting position is possible. Vertical distance of the upper level of the pulsations above the sternal angle is noted and measured in centimeters of jugular venous pressure. Sometimes the JVP may be so high that the upper level may not be visible. It may be visible in standing position in such cases. Pulsations of the earlobe will be noted in such cases. In cases without visible elevation of JVP, sustained pressure over the upper abdomen for 30 seconds may be given to elicit the abdominojugular or hepatojugular reflux. While examining engorged jugulars, it is important to check whether they are pulsatile or non-pulsatile. Non-pulsatile engorged jugulars suggest superior vena cava obstruction, the superior vena cava syndrome. Respiratory variation of the jugular venous pulsations is another important aspect. Normally, the amplitude of pulsations increase in inspiration while the upper level, that is the jugular venous pressure, falls in inspiration as the blood rushes into the right atrium. An inspiratory increase in jugular venous pressure is known as Kussmaul's sign. It is seen in right heart failure and is a typical sign in constrictive pericarditis. An often asked question is how to differentiate between venous and arterial pulsations in the neck. The usual answer is venous pulsations are better seen than felt. Venous pulsation has a definite upper level, and venous pulsation has multiple waves in a given cardiac cycle, while arterial pulsation usually has only a single wave. The jugular venous pulse tracing resembles the right atrial pressure tracing. It has 3 positive waves A, C and V and 2 negative waves X and Y descents. During clinical examination, the descents are better appreciated than the waves, of which Y descent is the most prominent. On visual inspection, only A and V waves are visible, while C waves can be documented only in a pulse recording. A wave is due to atrial contraction. It is prominent in tricuspid stenosis, pulmonary stenosis and pulmonary hypertension when the atrial contraction is more forceful. Presence of an A wave excludes an unrestricted ventricular septal defect. Intermittent large A waves may be seen in complete heart block when atrial contraction occurs with a closed tricuspid valve. These are called Cannon A waves. A wave is absent in atrial fibrillation as there is no organized atrial contraction. C wave in jugular venous pressure is a carotid artifact. In the atrial pressure tracing, it is due to bulging of the atrioventricular valve during ventricular contraction. V wave occurs during venous filling after ventricular contraction. In tricuspid regurgitation, C and V waves fuse together to form a prominent CV wave. It is also called just a prominent V wave. X descent is absent in tricuspid regurgitation. Y descent can be prominent in constrictive pericarditis and is known as Friedreich's sign. Y descent is shallow in tricuspid stenosis, and in cardiac tamponade the Y descent is absent. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future updates and click on the bell icon for all updates. Thank you.